So it's like, ooh, I'm dating a CEO. He is so successful. Oh, guess what that level and that title tends to attract?
Right.
Very controlling, manipulative, authoritarian type of guys. Gary, let me ask you a question. What does Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have in common with Michelle Obama and Barack Obama? What do you think? Think about it.
They're popular.
They're popular, but
they're also two power couples.
Power couples. Oh my God. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Let me tell you. I thought he was going to propose at the Super Bowl. Didn't do it. Apparently he's not that much of a power. That would have been epic. But today's podcast all about power couples, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds. What a powerhouse Ryan Reynolds is. I mean,
I always use those as they're my go-to power couple example because Ryan Reynolds is a dream. I love that guy.
Dreamboat. Dream. My brother was going off about Ryan Reynolds. We've determined that if he was into men, that would be his person. Like he's like, this is it. This is my man.
Yeah,
this is my guy.
He
and I agree.
A soccer team. He just seems like such a down and charming. I love him. Love him.
Definitely. Shall we all aspire to be on the level of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively? But today we're going to be talking about, although this is a beautiful thing, power couples are a wonderful thing, we're going to be talking about some of the dangerous risks of solely pursuing the power couple, okay, and trying to find that. Because look, we all want to be with something that is bigger than yourself, whether that's a cause or as a part of a couple. And, I know that there's a lot of what you talk about in relationship synergy, Gary, is, really a healthy relationship is when two amazing people form a relationship to share their amazing lives and enhance each other. And that's the key to all of this.
Yeah. I mean, that concept of synergy is very powerful. Right. But I do think, this idea of power couples, and the one other one that I thought of is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, power couple.
Oh, that's a good one.
We think about power couples and it seems like something we would want, like a player with a player and like, let's both just, and in some ways that is very appealing. But I think there's a danger to this in the sense that you want to be careful what you wish for. And it's what you wish for and how you pursue it, I think, because if you focus too much on becoming part of a power couple, it causes you to take certain shortcuts that are counterproductive. And I think that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. And let's call a spade a spade. Like the vast majority of our clients are powerful. Like we don't have a cheap service, right? Like, let's be honest, like to work with us, we invest a lot in our coaches and we invest a lot of time with our clients. So by nature, we just attract a lot of very powerful women and we help powerful women. And guess what powerful women want? A powerful guy. So this is something that we are constantly discussing. And we are trying to today really get into the nuance of this. And what is it that we're really seeking in a long-lasting, healthy relationship? That's the key. We want a long-lasting, healthy relationship. So why don't we start by defining what would you consider to be a power couple, Gary?
Yeah. So I think, this is kind of a better definition of a power couple. This is like my definition, not necessarily the world's definition, but it's two people who are highly successful, respected, influential, and admired. But it's a superstar pairing where no one's the better half. It's that A player with A player, which is you're both confident, you're both capable, you're both accomplished, but you're both supportive of each other as well. And so that's that synergistic element.
Yeah, I love that. So why don't we just jump into these kind of 4 dangerous, I would say, risks of only pursuing that. So the first one is that it's really important to give yourself a reality check when you're getting out there and dating. Like, what is it that you really, really are looking for? What do you want? Is it about finding a guy who can make you better and you can make him better? Is it all about growth, self-improvement? If so, that's great. That means that you're seeking an intrinsic desire. That's a healthy thing. It comes from within. that you're really trying to find someone who fulfills you on a deep level and who's on your level. That's a wonderful thing. Now, the flip side to it is when we are just pursuing status. And especially at first, we're trying to constantly be able to put people on a peg. How high status are they or not? And the thing about status is when it's about status, you focus on wanting a powerful or high status guy, and all of it is about optics, really, right, Gary? It's like, is he the type of guy that can walk in a room, impress everyone, and you get to walk in and it's all about boosting your ego and his ego, or is it about finding a guy who's just your equal? I think that's the key part of all this.
Yeah, so many of the ways that people go wrong about this is really, like you said, about optics. It's external things. It's, that person that says, I want to be the couple everybody envies.
Yeah.
Right. It's I want someone that's going to look good on my arm when I go out to my gala, charity event.
Right.
Wanting admiration, wanting attention, external validation. I mean, let's be honest, plenty of people want that. But what we're suggesting here today is like, that's the version of power coupling that you just don't want, because that's actually that extrinsic desire, which is very unhealthy, and it can work short term. And so some people are like, oh, well, that works fine for me. Short term. Yeah. I mean, that can work for a little while, but it's not going to be that lasting, long-term fulfilling relationship that, we try to help people find.
Yeah. I dated a woman for a good amount of time. And this was right when I was like starting to do some television, stuff like that. And like, that's like the ultimate high status thing that actually is pretty low status, honestly. It's not doing reality TV is not actually a very cool thing. Let me tell you, I have war stories from that. But I remember whenever we go out, like the very first thing she'd do is talk about how I was on television. And that was like her thing, is she just like wanted to make sure the world knew this. And I literally had to talk to her. I'm like, hey, let's like not do that. Let's downplay that. Let's calibrate this. Like, it's not a great way to actually connect with people. And the best thing that I love about Jessica is whenever we meet new people, they ask me what I do for a living. She is like the ultimate downplayer, and she actually makes fun of me in many ways, like in a playful, fun way. Like, it's like a wonderful thing, because it's like not about status. It's not about that, And I think that just very clearly shows the difference in those two people. And, I'm sure that other woman found someone who she can go kind of like brag about or flaunt about and try to raise her status. I'm sure that's fine. But I think that there's a huge difference, because it's all about extrinsic validation rather than that intrinsic fulfillment of a healthy power relationship.
Yeah, let's say you even find this guy who has these extrinsic attention kinds of things, the guy that's been on TV, and it sounds like the exact thing you want. You know what? He doesn't actually want you to like him for those reasons.
Right.
He's happy that he has those credentials and those experiences. He's happy that he has it, but that's not why he wants you to love him. Right. And remember, people want to be seen and they want to be loved. And that guy wants to be seen and loved. And he doesn't want to be seen and loved because of a few accomplishments. He wants to be seen and loved because of who he is as a guy, as a person, as a human. And so sometimes we forget that guys are humans too, and like want some of these things. And this power couple chasing thing, I think is that in some of its worst forms, where it's like, we're looking for a trophy. We're looking for this, accessory to my presence. And it's just not the way to approach relationships.
Yeah. And typically, if we're going around flaunting things, like I met someone recently and this guy had like a Ferrari. Actually, he had multiple Ferraris. His wife couldn't stop talking about the Ferraris. And all I was thinking, because I kind of see through this BS, I've been around enough successful people. All I'm thinking is, this dude is broke. This dude has got nothing. He is probably like living in the red. But truly wealthy people who are doing, like, they don't flaunt it. They don't do that. And it comes from a place of insecurity, like as a couple, to be doing that. And all she's looking for, and all he was looking for, was this extrinsic validation. So if we can get back to the core, which is, we do want to be with a successful, powerful person, but it should be quiet. It should be quiet. It should be between the two of you, acting as a team, acting as a partnership. And I'd be very curious to see that guy's balance sheet, his net worth, honestly,
It's something I say to our clients a lot when they're talking about meeting guys. And if a guy's a little quiet, and what that means is, like, insecurity is loud.
Mm,
Insecurity is boastful.
yeah.
Confidence and security are quiet. They're
It's quiet.
understated. And it's an important distinction. Like quiet confidence, that's really what you're looking for. Um, speaking of what you're looking for with the power couple dynamic is you want to realize that there's things are always a package deal in a sense, right? So if you're pursuing this power couple partner, you got to take the good with the bad, right? So the good is there's going to be success, there's going to be some admiration, there might be financial resources, they might be attractive, they might have these great social skills and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of times, those same qualities also come with a pretty negative downside, which is narcissism, right?
Hmm.
There's tons of research, and I kind of have it all in our notes, but it's like narcissists are more confident. They're the ones that command a room. Those are the ones that garner all the attention. They're comfortable in the spotlight. They want the spotlight. They want everyone to notice them. They're going to drive Ferraris. And not only are they going to drive Ferraris, they're going to drive the bright yellow Ferrari to make sure everybody in the world notices it. And we know that narcissists and relationships are not great. And, we don't have to necessarily review all that stuff. But what I want to point out with this is you got to recognize there's negatives that come with these positives. And a lot of the positives are fantastic in the short term.
Yep.
Days, weeks, maybe months, you're fine. And everything's wonderful. But these relationships are ticking time bombs because eventually those narcissistic traits take over. And that partner who seems amazing on all their accounts, the act wears thin, and it's not the kind of partner you really want. And so you want to plan long term, not short term, and be very aware of the package deal that these good and bad traits that they come together in.
Yeah. I just did a little Google search while we were talking. And because I was like, I wonder what percentage of CEOs are narcissists. And I happen to be a CEO. So maybe this is me being a narcissist. But I know it's difficult to diagnose, and there's a number of different. I've seen numbers where it's like 2% of population is narcissistic, upwards of 5%. But according to what I just found, the average on average CEOs, 18% of them are. I guess that's not on average. 18% of CEOs are on the narcissistic side. So it's a 4x multiple. So it's like, ooh, I'm dating a CEO. He is so successful. Oh, guess what that level and that title tends to attract?
Right.
Very controlling, manipulative, authoritarian type of guys.
Yeah, you got to take the good with the bad, and it's hard. And listen, every person on the planet is a combination of good and bad traits,
Yeah,
right? So this is not meant to scare you off of powerful men altogether. It's forewarned is forearmed, right? It's going into this knowing what you're looking for, prioritizing accordingly, and like something we talk about all the time is just being able to assess risk. Because no person that you're dating is risk free. No one is completely tragic, but there's variations all on. And so this is just you want to look for some of these good traits. Fantastic. Absolutely go for it. But just also make sure you're paying attention to some of these other things because, I was just talking about the ticking time bomb of these narcissists. One of the thing that really does it the most more than anything else is with a narcissist, with someone who enjoys being the center of attention and having all the power, it's competitive and it's hard for them to share the spotlight, right? We want relationships. A synergistic relationship is two people who are equals who help build each other up. With someone who's competitive, someone who's power hungry, which is very appealing short term, they like to win. And if you're in a couple with someone who likes to win, guess what that means for you?
Yeah.
You get to
No
lose.
bueno. No bueno. No.
And you don't want to lose, and you can kind of tolerate them getting all the spotlight and attention for a while and being the best one for a while, but that's hard to really continue 6 months, years into the future. It gets old quick. And so it's again, one of those things you just want to be on the lookout for.
I was just at a wedding from a good friend from college, and I haven't seen a lot of other friends from college. And I met up with I was just talking to this guy who I haven't seen in like literally probably 20 years or so. And he introduces me to his wife, and she's standing there. And I'm like, so what have you been up to? And he's like, everything's been really good. He's talking about some of the natural small talk. And we're both like, yeah, things are good. And she just chimes in. She's like, well, I also have been. It was just like this moment where it was so weird. Like
Right.
I was gonna get to her next, like, but I was just catching up with him. She wasn't even a part of the conversation.
Right.
It was like weird. I get it. She doesn't know a lot of people there, but
Right.
she was starting to one up him on pretty much everything that he was saying. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. Like, I'm probably never
Right.
going to see you guys again. So none of this matters. And it's weird that you both feel, and in many ways, I don't know if he was playing the same game. He probably wasn't, honestly. But I think
Yeah.
some couples do play that game where it's
Yes.
just like, well, he did this, I did this. Well, she did that, I did this. And what kind of dynamic, what a toxic dynamic. You're supposed to be a team. You're supposed to be a partnership. That's
Yeah.
crazy town. It's like if I had a team in the company where the two different department heads were like one upping each other and like, well, they did good, I did even
Right.
better. It's like, no. That's toxic. That's not working synergistically. That is an unnecessary level of competitiveness that is actually going to make everything crumble, you know? And so it just really stuck with me, that conversation. Because
Actually,
I'm
that's
like,
a
am I
funny
in
conversation.
cuckoo land? What is this?
As I have a teenage daughter, as she would say, "Hey, you're not the main character."
That's
The teens are very big on the main character, the NPC, non-playable character, like who's the real. In any case, but it's
yeah.
important to know that you don't always get to be the main character. And actually, in a relationship, you and your partner are both the same level of character, and you take turns and you support each other and all that kind of stuff. So, the one last caution we have about pursuing the power couple dynamic is it's a little bit of tough love in terms of I'm a big fan lately of thinking not what you're doing, but really think about why you're doing things. And
Hmm.
so what you want maybe is to be part of a power couple. Great. Why? And we talked about the good reason why is like to help with growth and all that stuff, but like there's other reasons why. And if it's that other reason why of status, okay. So that's a thing. Like maybe you do want that. Now why? From what
Right.
we know from the research, one of the reasons why you might like pursuing something like this is you have a touch of narcissistic qualities yourself.
Ooh.
Which
Ooh.
it's tough to diagnose, and we're not here to diagnose any of this stuff because we all should have high confidence. We should all be comfortable with ourselves, but it's like how maybe you're finding some of these power qualities so appealing because you yourself also enjoy a little touch of the spotlight. You really like a lot of the attention, and so like much like the couple that Adam was just describing, maybe that's something that helped bring you both together, and so this is like one of those times where, huh,
Hmm.
like you just kind of want to sit with that, think with that a little bit. Like, is it some of my own narcissistic traits that makes this kind of thing appealing? Because if it is, and you start recognizing that pattern, even if it's just a little bit, you can start doing something about it.
Yeah. We all have narcissistic tendencies in some ways. It's not, we're not calling you all narcissists. It's that
Right.
we all have narcissistic tendencies. Women tend to be attracted to men of high social status. We
Yep.
like women are attracted to men who have access to resources, who can provide, and that is hardwired in us. And that is okay to an extent, of course. And but it's realizing those tendencies of going for the super ultra guys who are just flashy that actually don't have anything to back it up. That's not going to lead anyone to a healthy, long lasting relationship. And like on the flip side, it's like if a guy is in his 50s and he's only trying to date the model who's 25 and has the perfect body, we would judge him the same way. It's
Right.
like, it's like,
Right.
dude, that's not leading you to a healthy, long lasting relationship. And you're just going with your pure primal instincts here. And not to say like all men only want 25-year-old women, but it's like clearly he's just going after just the one thing that finally fills this void that he really has. And so it's worth us always kind of checking ourselves in these situations and realizing, well, what part might I be playing in this? And again, just want to make this abundantly clear. It's very healthy to be with your equal or beyond. That's a wonderful thing. It's just the why. Why are we targeting this thing? Right? Like, why are we targeting this desire? Is it to impress other people or is it to have a healthy, long lasting relationship? If it's the latter, that's great. If it's the former, I would really check yourself because it's going. That's where it's like the straight line. It's the road to love hell of dating a narcissistic guy because that's where we're going to end up in that situation.
Yeah, and I think it's not blame, but it's ownership.
Yeah.
right? And so you have to take control over the things you can control. Like we can't sit down every guy on the planet and talk to them about any of this stuff. Like you're here so we can talk to you about it. And so, it's just something where the more you think and self-reflect about your own role in anything, the more control and more empowerment you're going to have to make a difference on those things. And so, if you have some narcissistic tendencies, you want to make sure that you tamp those down, because one of the things we do know is a relationship with two narcissists, talking about a taking time bomb, it explodes, right? That's just
Mhm.
not the relationship that you want. And so, we talked about a lot about these reasons why power couples are so problematic. Now, when I was putting this together, I was thinking, there's got to be people that are like, if these things are so problematic, why do they happen so much?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why do we see all these and we notice them? And I would say you notice them because they're very easy to notice. It doesn't mean they actually happen a lot, right? It's the exception that become really noticeable. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's prevalent,
Yeah.
right? It's like, you see that big flashy red car. Well, does that mean that there's actually more flashy red cars? No, it's just like the one that you saw is more noticeable because it sticks out. And so we just have to, there's actually a psychology thing behind this. It's called the survivorship bias, where we tend to focus on the people that made it and ignore all the ones who didn't. So every time you see a power couple, you're like, oh, see that power couple's work.
Yeah.
It worked for them. But there's a long list of others who tried the same thing that it did not work out for. And so we never get to see those, and we don't keep track of the percentage of wins of how likely this is to work out. And so you just want to be really, really careful and just always keep in mind what's popular isn't always what's best. It's just what's most noticeable some of the times.
Yeah. And just personal experience, thinking back to all the relationships I've seen in my life, I would say 95% of them, there's one clear, more successful person, like on paper, like just a clear, it's not even like a little bit. It's a pretty clear difference. And sometimes it's the female, sometimes it's the male. And I would say it's actually relatively equal. And I think of my own parents, like my mom was the powerhouse. She was like a top attorney. And my dad was very successful in other ways, but she was just on a different level, and that's okay. That kind of worked. It kind of worked for them in their relationship. I don't know if it would have worked if they were both kind of competing on the same level. And it could be. So what does that say? It says that my mom looked at him as an incredible partner, and they've been married, I think, almost 50 years at this point. It's incredible. And they just have this dynamic where it's like she kind of leads the relationship and leads what it is that they're doing. My dad's like, okay, cool, I'm going along with it. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. So I think what that tells us when we're dating is we don't have to seek this ultimate power couple all the time. If it works for you, that's great. But if not, that's perfectly fine. We need to really assess that and be able to move forward.
Well, and I think though, anybody that's stuck around to this podcast this long is dying to know the question is like, is there a way to do this the right way? Like we talk
Right.
about the wrong way to do it. So it's like, I feel like we owe it to people to talk about like, is there a right way to do this?
Right.
And I know, Adam, we talk a lot about this in our Lux program. We have a whole program on affluent attraction. And so there's a ton, we could talk about this for days. But there is one piece that applies here that I do want to mention, which is you can seek and want to be part of a power couple, but it's all about timing. You can't put that first and foremost in your pursuit, right? That can't be the attractant to a guy because he's powerful and he can be part of a power couple. It can be the byproduct, right? So you want the right guy is going to be a guy who's powerful, that you like him not because he's powerful. It's a bonus. Like it's an extra thing that he has, because the right guy, he doesn't want you to be attracted to him because he's powerful. Like I said at the top, he wants you to be attracted to him because of him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really important. It's just, this is all about healthy relationships. What we are optimizing for with all of our clients and everything we do is a healthy, long-lasting relationship. And it's really funny and ironic that we are positioning it this way, because like we have our highest end coaching program, as Gary mentioned, it's called Lux. We do events and, it's only for a select group of women, but these are extremely powerful women. And we talk a lot about attracting affluence, right? Attracting your equal, but we want to do it in a way that is healthy and leads to that long lasting relationship. And one of the first things that we talk about is, once again, those guys who are flashy, who are constantly trying to put it in your face that they are this incredible, powerful man. Those tend to be actually the weakest and most insecure men. So it's so interesting. This is like a huge part of our weekend about a month ago or so when we were working with our clients here in Boston. And this was a fun one. I really enjoyed this, Gary. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I would just say, I think bottom line is power coupling is not about improving your status. It's about raising each other's character and making each other better in that synergistic way. And if you're doing it that way, then by all means be part of a power couple where you're both improving each other and helping each other live up to their aspirational goals. Because then you're going to have that long lasting, fulfilling relationship that you want.
Amen.